Rebel Force Radio presents
Experimental Unit Clone Force 99. The defective clones with desirable mutations. They call themselves the Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch.
This is the Bad Batch After Show.
Oh, that's right. The Batch is back, and so are we. Rebel Force Radio and the Bad Batch After Show Season 2. And a big premiere today. 2 episodes dropped on us. And I think with this show, I was glad that there were 2 episodes. Not just because of the cliffhanger after the first episode, but I needed a little bit more. And I think that is potentially going to be a recurring theme as we go through this series. Having, we're, I wouldn't say sadder, but we're certainly wiser Star Wars fans. We've had, I think, a pretty big variety of content coming out of Disney Plus. I think we have an idea now, maybe, since we've seen things kind of at both ends of the spectrum, the very serious stuff, the more far-out mystical fantasy stuff, the swashbuckling adventures. It seems like it's all elements of Star Wars, and we kind of have, I don't want to say the kiddie stuff, but this is feeling for me a little bit more kiddie-like. Again, and this is coming after Andor and Kenobi and all of that, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. There's no way. I mean, I watch a lot of cartoons. I watch cartoons and animated shows from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I still dig it. And I think there's still plenty of story here for us to be talking about, but it is going to be interesting to see how this conversation evolves and changes in the wake of shows like Andor and Kenobi, etc. But anyway, glad to be back with you. Any excuse to be back live with the Rebel Force Radio listening audience is an absolute pleasure. So we're grateful for you to be with us. Glad to be with you. And I know one guy who's glad to be here talking about Star Wars, and that is, of course, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. Happy New Year. Welcome to a new year of Star Wars. The Batch is back, bitch. And we are too. So, yeah, I know it's family programming, but come on. Couldn't resist.
Well, you're not the only one that can't resist, because I saw the official Star Wars handles on social media. They were all pushing the Batch is back. So that's, a reference to the Elton John bitch is back.
Yeah. But I threw in the bitch in there.
Oh, well, yeah.
The Batch is back, bitch.
Oh,
like, I'm letting you know.
That you're holding back on the bitch. So you're throwing the bitch down.
Like,
I see. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
It's kitty. Did you say it was kitty-like or kitty-light?
I thought it was kitty-like. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's
more of your Saturday morning cartoon experience as opposed to like the cinematic experience of Star Wars. Well, there were some rough and tumble things happening in this episode, but I get what you're saying with the kitty-like, because my cat sure enjoyed it. No, you're talking about children, right? Targeted toward children, not cats. Kiddie, not kitty.
Yeah, kitty.
We'll talk about that. I think that's worth discussing. And there's a lot of things that happen in these 2 episodes that are worth discussing. Some great character moments, some kick-ass action sequences.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to breaking that all down with you. And then we'll open up those crazy phone lines to hear from our crazy listening audience of the most amazing Star Wars fans in the universe and hear what you guys thought about it.
Yeah. And that we're going to do that by way of our call screener. Tyler Page is back. It wouldn't be an after show without Tyler. Complete, decked out in his call screener fatigues. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Tyler, it's good to be back with you, my friend.
Yeah, good to be here, man.
And,
I'm happy to watch Bad Batch with everyone here. So
yeah, this is going to be a wild season because we're going to overlap with Mandalorian. So, Mandalorian season 3. So it's going to be an interesting ride here. There's going to be weeks where we're going to be going from a Mandalorian after show right into a Bad Batch after show. And so the differences are going to be even more pronounced, I think, as we kind of go back and forth. And But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. So I don't want any emails saying or chat comments saying that Swank is already, going all neg on it. I'm not going negative, but I think that it's the big pink elephant in the room. We have to address it. It'd be silly not to. But anyway, Tyler,
I have my email half typed out, so I won't.
I figured you'd be one of the first. Tyler, we'll check back in with you in a little bit, and the number will be up on the screen shortly, so Tyler can earn his keep. But this didn't necessarily. Well, let's get into the tail of the tape because we got so much to talk about. Again, 2 episodes, season 2, episode 1, "Spoils of War," directed by Stuart Lee, written by Jennifer Corbett, and that was followed by episode 2, "Ruins of War," directed by Nathaniel Villanueva and written by Gina Lucita Monreal. And that's not a name that I recall from either the Clone Wars crew, the Rebels writers, or even last year's, or season 1 Bad Batch. So I could be wrong about that, but I usually remember because I try to, I have to fumble over these names. But I do not remember crediting Gina. Of course, Kevin Kiner is back scoring and doing a magnificent job. This was one time in particular that upon first viewing, I was actually caught myself listening to the score. I don't know if that means that I was underwhelmed with the story or what, but I was certainly enjoying the score by Kevin Kiner. Original air date for both these episodes, January 4th, 2023. So, Jim, one of the things that I was looking forward to, or what I was the most curious about, was how much of a gap that there might be in between seasons. Mm-hmm. And we're not really told. We don't have a lot of clues. Honestly, the biggest clue I think we have is Omega's hair. That might be the only clue we have. She's sporting a longer hairstyle. Yeah, a little taller. Yeah.
She's definitely aged up a bit. I'd almost like to, I would prefer actually to say it's been maybe a year and a half. Just like in real life.
Year and a half.
Like
okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'd like to leave it at that. Omega appears to have gone from about 12 years old in season 1 to around 14 now. And she's definitely proven that she's matured. Mm-hmm. She is capable of handling herself. We saw her take out those crab thingies at the beginning of the episode. And she got herself into a jam early on and was able to get herself out of that jam. So without having the BB come in at the last minute to save her. And so she's definitely more capable now.
Well,
you see that right out of the gate with this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. When they're on that beautiful water planet or beach planet. By the way, I mean, I know we make a lot of this, but I don't think we can possibly overstate the animation quality of this show. I noticed, and maybe it's because I've got a newer television that I'm watching on, but I noticed an upgrade. I thought the fluidity of the character movements. There were times, because we live in a world where our live action stuff is so full of computer generated.
That's right.
Where my eyes playing tricks on me, and it's like, wait a minute, is that a real person with with an animated background? There were a few times that I saw that. So the lighting, just everything is superb. It is by far the highest quality animation on television. Period, bar none. I think.
Yeah, I'd be hard-pressed to argue with you. I thought the Clone Wars was some of the best episodic television animation I've ever seen at the time. Yeah. I don't care how wooden those guys were in those first 2 seasons, and they were very wooden and angular, You could, you could probably cut drywall with Count Dooku's beard, the tip of his beard, but they became more fleshed out, more realistic as the Clone Wars went on. And now we're seeing the similar animation style here in the Bad Batch, in Tales of the Jedi. I hope they come up with some other animated venues to tell maybe some bigger picture stories about what was going on during the dark times. Because God bless the Bad Batch, I love being along on the ride with them and everything, but their story for the first season and first couple episodes of season 2, they're impact on the big picture seems rather minimal.
Yeah.
The same could be said for Andor after season 1 as well.
Well, the difference is that we know where Andor's going. So I think we're maybe a little bit more patient. But I was thinking the same thing, Jim. I'm like, where is this going? And what is their impact going to be on the bigger picture? Now, what you saw in our intro, which was a moment in the trailer, we know we're going to see Palpatine. We're going to go to the Senate Rotunda. Yeah. So that tells me that there is going to be a bigger picture to tell, and the Bad Batch is going to fit in there.
Yeah.
We might have gotten some clues at the very end of the second episode between Rampart and Wilco, bringing Tarkin's name into it. Obviously, the Bad Batch are known and are an issue all the way to Tarkin's level. So they do have significance, and perhaps they're more than just a nuisance, or Rampart wouldn't have been so paranoid about it because it looks very bad on him. But getting back to Omega, she has like these nice field clothes now. So she's not wearing that like jumpsuit thing that she had like out of the lab.
Right.
I noticed that the
Camino
headband is gone.
Fashion does not translate to the rest of the galaxy. It really doesn't.
No, Camino fashion is sort of, I think it's like equivalent to like season 1 of Star Trek: The Next Generation, just like form-fitting bodysuits, almost like pajama types. I really dig her new model. I love the hat that she wears. I like that she got rid of the headband, which tells me that maybe we speculated. I remember we're talking about what's the significance of the jewel in the headband. Turns out probably no significance at all because they threw it away. It was a prop.
Again, Camino fashion.
Right.
Very similar to what you would see Nala Se or Lama Su wear. That was the equivalent of a fashion statement amongst those tall Kaminoans. And so Omega just adapted that for her because she's curious,
Mm-hmm.
She wants to be a part of all these different scenes that are happening. And she sees the Kaminoans walking around with that thing on their head. She's like, yeah, I want a part of that. That's kind of cool. I like that. I want to, she almost wants to fit in, she wants to fit
exactly
in.
Right.
When she was a kid, she wanted to fit in with those Kaminoans. She just wants to fit in. She doesn't know where her place is in the universe. Well, and so that's what I think makes her a really interesting character to watch, is because where is this character going to go?
I'm glad you brought up the fitting in, because there were two things, and I'll just get my gripes out right away. The two gripes that I have story-wise.
Yeah.
The first is that Jim, you speculated, you threw out a year and a half, space between the first season and the second season. Mm-hmm. And yet we find Omega in a very similar emotional state as we left her at the end of that we saw her in the first season. She's so quick to take offense. She overhears Echo say that, the Bad Batch are sort of in the position they're in because of her. Yeah. Now, she doesn't hear the conversation. Hunter grabs him and is like, no, we're not going to talk about this right here. And then he finishes the statement by saying, no, we need to help more people like Omega. So she doesn't hear that part, but that's what propels her into action to try to get the war chest, which then puts her back in that same spot of needing to be rescued by the Bad Batch. So I kind of wanted to see her beyond that a bit. I wanted to see her grow beyond being so insecure that she doesn't really fit in with them, that they're still sacrificing way too much for her. And then, again, being the precocious kid that bites off more than she can chew. And they nearly, lose their lives in saving her, in addition to the overall mission that they're on. So those are two bones that I have to pick with this.
Okay. Well, I think she's emerging as a character, and I think, all that stuff will fall into place. I liked her hat.
I liked her hat too. It was, I thought it was reminiscent of the Endor hats a bit.
Yes.
The Rebel hat.
Yeah. She had like a little patch on her, so
Yeah.
that was kind of
from
like,
Kevin Lyle. I think that was a Kevin Lyle patch. You can get it at North Legion. Yeah, North Legion store.
Get on that. That guaranteed. We'll be seeing promotion for that on Facebook tomorrow morning.
Were you surprised to see them still? Well, actually, let me back up. Let's talk about Wanda Sykes. Of course, we're both fans of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Wanda Sykes had a great recurring role on that. But we see this character that she's playing, Fee Genoa. Fee Genoa. So she shows up. She's got they walk into Sid's bar expecting to see Sid, and they see Fee. And it turns out that Sid has already kind of spilled the beans and taken Fee into her confidence and told her about the Bad Batch, which really wigs them out, especially Hunter.
As it should.
Yeah.
It wigged me out. I was wigged.
I was too. This is kind of like in 89 Batman, when we're 3/4 through the movie and Alfred tells Vicky Vale that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that happened awfully fast.
Hey, Al, loose lip pink ships, my friend.
So I was surprised, and I agree. I was wigged out too that she gave them up to this pirate. She calls her pirate. Yeah. What do you have any impressions of Fee Genoa, and what did you think about Wanda Sykes? I certainly didn't forget that it was Wanda Sykes. Clearly, they cast her to, basically play Wanda Sykes. She wasn't reaching much.
Yeah, no, but she was kind of a toned down Wanda. And maybe that's just Wanda with age, because I have to admit, I'm really
Wanda with age. It's
very familiar with her career over the last, I don't know, 15 years or so, really. I'm familiar more with the younger Wanda. You see in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Right.
And of course, her stand-up comedy is awesome. And I remember when she came on the scene. Yeah, she was really fresh, man. And she was very original. She just has that great sound. She has that great rhythm to her delivery and stuff. And I felt like it was a little toned down here as Fee. I almost felt like she was reading. And maybe that's just me knowing too much about Wanda Sykes, who it seems like when she delivers dialogue, it's like she delivers it like she's pulling the trigger of an AK-47. It's just and it's real sharp, and she puts a lot of emotion. She puts soul into everything.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
And I didn't get that so much from her in this. It felt like a little more toned down. I got to admit, I'm not familiar with Wanda as a voice actress, and that could be the big difference here. I assume. I didn't look this up. Maybe I should have, but I assume that she has done voice acting in her career with the way she sounds.
I feel like she played a squirrel in like the. She played some sort of like backyard animal in an animated. I think they've made a couple of them. Maybe if you get in the chat, you might know.
They know in the chat.
Yeah, they know. Backyard season or I don't know. Anyway, I thought she was a squirrel. But so were you also surprised to see Sid out of the gate so fast and them taking another job on from her?
Okay, so the thing with Sid. Season 1 kind of fell into a rut with the whole mission of the week with Sid.
Yeah.
Sid the boss. And I'm kind of surprised to see them going back there to work with Sid following the events of Camino.
Right.
But, as much as they're on the radar due to Camino, well, apparently not so much. The Imperials believe the Bad Batch perished on Camino, and rightfully so. Now, see, Crosshair, that's something to remember here. Crosshair knows the Bad Batch survived, and he's withholding that information from Tarkin and the Empire.
Yeah.
And Rampart.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we don't know, what's up with Crosshair. Obviously, he didn't appear in these first 2 episodes, but he knows. It's not like the Bad Batch survived and everyone just looked at the destruction there of Tapioca City or whatever that place is.
Yeah.
Tapioca City.
Right.
And they looked at the destruction and said, nobody could have survived that, obviously.
Yeah. And
dead. Crosshair must have gone back and said they died.
He must have. Right. Because Rampart, it's not like Rampart was, at least I didn't read the scene as though Rampart was saying like as if he knew that they survived. No, they didn't survive. He was legit shocked. He's like, that's impossible. They were killed. And he's like, and then Wilco says no. And so you're absolutely right. He's keeping it from Rampart, who's his direct command. So his boss, he's not telling his boss that he screwed up. And now,
so we have no evidence that Wilco was there at Camino or anything like that. He's just kind of like a random Imperial stormtrooper commander at this point.
Right.
We didn't see him at all in season 1 because I would have remembered the name Wilco. I would have, for obvious reasons. I mean, the first thing, it's like Roger Wilco,
right.
That call sign.
Paging Dr. Wilco, Dr. Roger, Dr. Wilco, Dr. out. Yeah, to me.
But I think of alternative rock band from Chicago, Wilco, led by Jeff Tweedy and the gang, who I saw over the summer. And so I was thinking, wow, maybe Jeff Tweedy will show up in, you could put a band together with him and Flea and
I would love to see that at Star Wars Celebration. Can we get But the problem is it's all bass players, right, Jim?
It's all bass players right now. Yeah.
That would be a tough one. But
I'm waiting for Geddy Lee to show up in Star Wars. He's the bass player from Rush, Swank. Rush.
I know Geddy Lee. I know of Geddy Lee and
I
Rush.
figured you did.
So I was surprised with the Sid thing out of the gate. I thought that maybe, if Sid showed up in season 2, I remember us even speculating about Sid and whether or not we would see much of her in season 2. And I think some of us thought that she was going to be a season 1 thing and they would move on to something else.
Yeah. I have a Sid prediction.
Okay.
She was talking about the Bad Batch earning their freedom.
Yes.
And we already have our freedom, But she knows that the planet they're on, which is, what's the name of the planet they're on? It's a well-known Star Wars planet. Ord Mantell.
Yeah.
It's a well-known Star Wars planet because Han Solo mentioned it in Empire Strikes Back. Ord Mantell. So they're there and working off the grid, under the radar. But Sid says it's only a matter of time before the Empire finds this place.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be screwed just like the rest of the galaxy. So she's been watching, whatever, Hollow News Channel.
Yeah.
How does she get away? She's like, you haven't been paying attention. But I mean, where's Sid getting her information from? Because we know the Empire is very secretive. They keep that stuff all very highly censored and they control all of the media.
I would assume that Sid has a network of other underground figures and they're watching the patterns as these different systems are being overtaken. I was actually getting, again, just coming out of Andor, I was thinking, wow, is Sid going to be, is she going to be the Marva of Bad Batch? She's kind of saying like, wake up, they're going to come here. No, she's not, because she's not an altruistic person, but she is certainly the one that's sort of ringing the bells and letting people know, by people, I mean the Bad Batch, that the Empire is eventually going to make its way to Ord Mantell and the party's going to be over.
Her purpose is more selfishly motivated because she knows once the Empire gets there, her business is kaput. And she says this to the guys, you got to find the big score now. We can't be doing these little petty jobs. We have to go after the big one. We have to go after the Lufthansa heist. Yeah. That's what we're looking for here, the Lufthansa heist.
Right. And
sorry.
You did it.
But wait. There's more. Sid will turn on the Bad Batch at some point because the Empire will find their way to Ord Mantell, and they will crunch on. Hey, listen, I got to say something. This is the first Bad Batch after show of the season, and something that I became aware of just today, just hours before the show started, is that Lucasfilm released the entire season minus the finale to Shill Media. And we don't have that.
What?
Yeah. They did that already. So any sort of speculation you hear coming from us is totally legit, guys. We are on this journey with you guys. And we're catching these episodes on Wednesday, just like you are. So we can speculate. We can enjoy this season. Anybody who's known me knows that I've always sort of abhorred the Netflix model of dumping full seasons at once because you can't have those speculative moments with people. And if you try to, somebody who will be there who's already seen the full season, then they will cut you down at the kneecaps and they will ruin the viewing experience for you via spoilers. Well, you won't find that here on RFR.
What possible motivation would Lucasfilm have to do that? To release, how many episodes are there going to be? Another 16?
They released 14 of the 16.
They released 14 of the 16 episodes.
The finale is a two-parter, and they withheld that one.
Imagine that. Okay. So what possible motive would they have? They must have these under some serious NDAs. And that's the other thing. Okay, so if you're going to have them under
Not
NDAs,
so much.
What's the point? Are they leaking like a sieve now?
Well, you know they're going to, and I've already seen on websites like Collider and IGN that they have reviews of episodes 1 through 14. I mean, that's what it says in the headline.
They already have reviews.
I didn't look at it because I don't want to be spoiled. But I am a little frosted about this.
I am too. I did not know this. I didn't know this until just now.
I only found out just hours before the show. And I'm pretty flippin' frosted about that.
Yeah.
And it's not because those episodes were withheld from us. I don't want them.
Right.
I want the experience.
I don't want anyone to have them.
I'm a fan. I'm a part of Star Wars fandom, you know? I want to be here with everyone in the live chat. I want to be speculating on future episodes. But there's going to be people out there listening who know whether we're on the mark or way off track. And that frustrates me. That frustrates the piss out of me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm really taken aback by that because I'm just trying to figure out what reason would they have, because that's a if they've already written up reviews for the first 14 episodes, okay, so if they're releasing it to the shill media, they want the hype. So they want them to go in and watch these episodes, and of course they have to give them glowing reviews and say this is the best thing since the last thing, and keep it coming, and because they don't want these the types of numbers that they were getting with Andor. I think that there was probably some concern about whether or not people would be excited about a second season of Bad Batch.
In all fairness, Bad Batch season 1 didn't burn down the charts either. So,
no, it didn't. It didn't. But I think they're trying to. I think this is. If we're looking at strategy, I think the strategy is try to get as much into the hype machine as possible. And these first 2 episodes, outside of Rebel Force Radio and maybe a few other honest ones, weren't. It wasn't going to do that for them. So for these IGNs and others. Won't mention any names, but I'm sure that's what it is. They got to give them as much meat on the bone as possible and hope that they hype this thing up and say, "Oh, you can't miss this. Wait till you see it. I can't wait for the finale." What is it? March can't come soon enough.
I mean, they gave out the episodes to big outlets like IGN and even like little tiny fan outlets too. Like that get. Barely a drip of attention. Yeah. But, so, I mean, that just bothers me. And it's something I'm going to have to stay on guard for now. But I don't really follow any other Star Wars or fan media anyway. So I'm going to be safe. But I want to throw that out there as a warning.
It's well, hopefully our loyal Rebel Force Radio listeners and viewers on the YouTube live streams will take a vow that they won't be spoiled. And please, since we know there's spoilers out there, I will ask to try to keep it out of your comments, out of your chats, and out of the phone calls, because like Jim said, we're on a journey together here, and I don't want to be spoiled, because what's the point? What's the point of doing an after show if we already know what's going to happen, 12 episodes from now?
I know. I hate that. Yeah. And there were some opportunities I had during the Clone Wars era where I was seeing episodes in advance of them being aired. And I'd even want to do roundtables or after shows until all those episodes were out there, because I knew too much.
Yeah.
It's just not fun. It's not right. I mean, it's really ridiculous. Why would you just do a barf of the whole season out to the critics? It gives me a few things to fear. It's like maybe Lucasfilm isn't afraid of the spoilers coming out, because there aren't really any spoilers. This whole season is nothing but non-consequential filler. That's the message I get, Yeah.
That's
the message.
So let's hope that that's, not the case, but let's also hope that people at Lucasfilm, and I think there are still a few listening to this, will understand that that's the takeaway. The takeaway is there's nothing to spoil until the last 2 episodes. Maybe.
Yeah. That's what I get out of this, is that it's just a bunch of filler and fluff until that season finale. So thanks for wasting our time. But because I enjoy Star Wars so much, and because I like going back to that universe in whatever means I can, then, I'm on board for the Bad Batch. I'm not going to let this sully my experience of season 2. I really enjoyed these first 2 episodes, and I want to see where this is going. And I'm committed to these characters. And I've noted character growth between season 1 and season 2 with some of these characters, like Tech and Echo. Those 2 were almost interchangeable for me.
Yes.
In the entire first season of Bad Batch. Now I'm seeing them more as individuals. They're developing more original characteristics, and they're not just being these run-of-the-mill clones. I mean, I know they're clones. That's what kind of makes them all the same to begin with. And we spent so much time in season 1 defining Hunter.
Yes.
And defining...
A lot of it came down to screen time, Jim, where the others, didn't get hardly any screen time. It was all about Hunter and Omega, and Wrecker was there for the comic relief. That was pretty much the formula.
And Wrecker even seems a little toned down. I didn't get so much of the Hulk smash vibe from him in these first 2 episodes. He almost seemed a little bit low-key compared to moments in season 1. And so I would like to see that, maybe making him a little bit more of a human, and not such this, let's go smash everything up. Ah!
Right. Yeah, right.
And what I do like about season 2, one of my favorite, I guess it would be clone trooper trope. And I've noticed this ever since the film release of the Clone Wars back in 2008, when we got introduced to all these wacky guys, is that the clone troopers, there's always one of them who's saying, go, 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 go. And that was like right out of the gate here. First episode, season 2, you have that. Yeah, that's like Full Metal Jacket, D. Bradley Baker in action right there.
Yeah, if I remember right, I think the very first trailer for the Clone Wars movie had that go, 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 go. Go, 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 go,
go. I love it.
All right, so Omega. So Omega is, as we said earlier, she's desperate to belong. She overhears that conversation between Hunter and Echo. What she doesn't hear is Echo saying that actually what they did in taking Omega and keeping her safe is a microcosm of what they should be doing for the galaxy at large. They should be doing more. So Echo is the one that's telling Hunter that they have a responsibility, an obligation. Their position allows them to help out more. The way that Sid defines freedom to Hunter is also interesting. You know, she says that freedom is when you can have a life, basically. It's not about just hiding. That's not freedom. And what Hunter wants is Hunter wants to hide. You know, after what happened on Camino, he wants to go into hiding. He doesn't want to take the big job, but the rest of the gang does, because they do want a life that's beyond freedom, or that's beyond hiding. I mean, so with Omega, you'd have to wonder if she doesn't want them to have a life, because is a real life for the clones, does that include her? What happens to her if they're able to just retire on a fishing boat like we saw in Rebels with Rex and the boys? You know,
hey, something about the Bad Batch. Do we know if the Bad Batch they're not double aging, right?
No, they're double aging. I would assume
right?
They're double aging.
For them to be as old as they are in this part of the timeline, they have to be.
She's not, though.
But maybe
she's
she
an
recognizes that. You know, maybe she recognizes that. She's like, yeah, these guys, their best days are already behind them. You know? But also, when I think of Sid, I think that she's like highly connected. And the Bad Batch have been easy for her to use and exploit, because they have to stay on the down low. And she knows that's going to be blown up the second the Empire lands on that planet. And it could be nobody eating popcorn no more. They're going to be running for their lives. And her gig will be blown up. So she knows that's like almost inevitable. And keeping a Bad Batch around, if you're like somebody like Sid, once they start attracting some heat, she's going to want to do away with them anyway. So
but they sure are useful to her, because
she's exploiting them.
Nobody can do what she's doing, what they're doing.
Right. And she recognizes that. Right. So she's taking advantage of the situation, but she knows that it can't go on forever. And that the second the Empire starts really hunting down the Bad Batch and the action goes to that planet or Mantell, then is it Mandel or Mantell?
Mantell.
Mantell.
Lord Mantell. Or is it Mattel?
Mattel. Lord Mattel.
Lord.
So, you know, she has to know that that's a temporary situation. And also she seems pretty damn connected to the point where she could probably replace them when the time comes. So they have to stay there.
She could replace them, certainly not to the extent. I think they're like having a team of superheroes, you know, on your payroll. Right. But I also think that she tries to keep them down. Like, she doesn't overly flatter them. You know, she's not full of compliments. She doesn't want them to think that she needs them any more than she really does. You know, I think she's wanting to keep their egos down and all that, but she keeps moving the goal stick. You know, before it was like, hey, we got a good thing going, earn your freedom, you know, you can pay me back. And now it's like, well, you think you're free, you think your debt's paid to me, but what you really need is the ultimate score, and the ultimate score is going to allow you to have a normal life. The thing that they gave up by rescuing Omega, taking Omega.
You know, so Sid will get her cut too, you know, so she can also disappear.
Oh yeah, it's all about her, really. Yeah. I mean,
she'll get her cut.
She's exploiting, but now I'm wondering if what this season is, because they don't, spoiler alert, and we didn't have to get preview copies to know this. We watched the episodes. At the end, they don't get the treasure. They don't get the wool chest. And so is this season going to be about them always chasing that big score to, you know, the first season was all about them getting their freedom back from Sid. Is this season about the big score that will set them up for a life of not having to run and hide?
Yeah, but I mean, how many opportunities are you going to get? Like the Dooku war chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was a once in a lifetime opportunity. So no, I don't think it's necessarily going to do that. And also their failure at scoring that heist, um, that that will have repercussions. I predict, because the heat is going to come down. The heat's coming down in season 2. It is definitely going to be coming down. So, yeah, I don't think they can afford to like wait for the next big thing. I think they got to take what they can now and run with it. Who knows if they're ever going to be going on another run for Sid? And now you have this other one in there, Fee. And
right, and now
what's going to happen to Sid to begin with?
To me,
maybe there's going to be a power play between Sid and Fee.
Right. I was wondering, well, why do we need another Sid? And that's what Fee seemed to me to be like. Just another Sid, sassy, very sure of herself. Boy, how about that homage to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade when Omega was reaching for the treasure and, echoes, I could hear Indiana, but he's like, Omega, let it go. So I thought that was
as if Sean Connery was there.
Right.
Sir Sean was almost in the house. And then also for some reason, I guess my life has become so Disney-fied. I heard the Frozen song in my head, Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I've never even seen Frozen, for crying out loud. And that's the first thing I thought of.
Oh, man.
But then, yeah,
See how it seeps into your life?
But then, obviously the Last Crusade vibes were very strong and hard to ignore. So it's interesting when Lucasfilm pays homage to itself, in that way. And they did it in that Willow show. And they replayed Marion Ravenwood's introduction in Raiders, where she's having that drinking contest.
Oh, really?
With that dude, yeah. And so they redid that in Willow. And it felt really, I don't know. Let's just say I felt violated as a fan watching that. And that's my review of Willow as a series. I feel violated as a fan. Wow. All right, back to Star Wars. Okay.
Hence why we haven't done. By the way, that was the Rebel Force Radio after show for the Willow series, right there. So cut that. Someone post it. That's it. So we meet Romar. Romar is an interesting character. I already saw Jim speculation in the chat. We Star Wars fans, we always have to create a connection even when there isn't one. Yes. Somebody in the chat was like, "Oh, Romar Dooku? Could this be Dooku's brother?"
Does Dooku have a brother? I mean, see, there's a lot of there's expanded universe stuff about Dooku. There's that audio book about Dooku called Lost Dooku or something. You Lost Jedi, something like that. And in that audiobook, it makes it clear that it clears up something that I've always thought otherwise. I thought Dooku left the Jedi Order because he was becoming frustrated with their bureaucracy and he was looking for a different way to connect with the Force, yada, yada, yada. But they revealed that Dooku left the Jedi to manage his family fortune on Sereno after a member of his family, who, the patriarch or whoever was in charge, passed away. And so that's why he stepped away from the Jedi Order and became one of the Lost 20. And I was like, because I always thought it was philosophical differences with the Jedi Order is why.
What if it's both? What if it's the real reason is the philosophical differences, but the cover story is I have this family obligation that I have to deal with.
That's probably the bottom line. Yeah. I mean, that's probably the bottom line, but I never knew it was quite presented that way.
Yeah.
I thought Dooku was leaving. I always thought Dooku's departure of the Jedi Order was fueled with him taking a stand about the way the Jedi were getting bogged down with bureaucratic red tape and becoming more a part of the government than the religious order that they were.
And we see shades of
order.
that in Tales of the Jedi. I mean, he's certainly impatient, right? He's not afraid or ashamed to exert his power. He has a profound sense of justice, which then justifies the use of his power. I think that there's a streak in Dooku where he almost feels superior to others.
Oh yeah,
and that with that superiority comes this this right to sort of rule, perhaps justly. Yeah, he's a fascinating character. I would love to see more of that uncovered with maybe future Tales of the Jedi episodes or something like that. I think it would be great. That really, I love the Ahsoka stuff, but the Dooku was where it really got my motor going on that Tales of the Jedi. We got the phone number up, by the way, 708-866-1737. We're going to continue to set the table a little bit, and we'll get to your calls. We do have some super chats that have come in. You guys are so generous. This is from Chris. Chris says, okay, they changed the armor colors. So do you think this is why we haven't had any vintage collection figures yet? Happy New Year, Jimmy, Jason, and Tyler, RFR number 1. Thanks, Chris. That's awesome. I do want to mention, I'm glad he brought it up because, we already have a reveal of, I think they actually showed the actual action figure of the vintage collection Hunter. That is, and that's in season 1 garb. Here's what I fear could happen, because it takes Hasbro now literally years to get like a full team out, like the Bad Batch, the full team of the Bad Batch. My fear, Jim, is that we'll never have a complete set of, say, season 1 Bad Batchers. I think we might get a Hunter from season 1. I think by the time they get to some of the other guys, they're going to be in the season 2 garb. And so you'll never have that. It's just their pipeline, their timeline. I don't know. I don't know. But I
might get box sets. Season 1 box set, season 2 box set. What happened to the old box sets? Remember those?
They still do them. They still do the troop builders and the army building box sets.
That's not the same.
Here's Turtle Wars.
Box sets.
Turtle Wars. Cheers, RFR community. Here's to the planet making another successful revolution around the sun. To a seemingly endless stream of new Star Wars content coming our way. Yes, so much so that we're going to be, doing, overlapping shows. So,
yeah, it's going to be wild.
It is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's after shows until the end of April, folks. Strap in. Yeah, it's going to be.
It's going to make the winter go by quick. Think of it that way. That's why I'm looking at it. It's a great way to burn the winter.
Now you're talking.
Let's go to the phones. We do have Matt from Chicago. We got some more things we'll talk about, of course, but Matt has a comment. We want to hear from Matt. Matt in Chicago. Hello. Hello, Matt.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Love the show.
Thank you.
Just wanted to ask. What do you guys think of the new design for like the Bad Batch armor and like the coloring on it?
All right. So for me, I'm not much of it's something that doesn't register. I'm much more of a character story guy. Armor, ships. It's not that I don't enjoy them or appreciate them, but I couldn't tell you a phase 2 trooper clone from a phase 3, from a phase 1. So it doesn't hit me. I don't retain it. The only thing I noticed was they've got some gold trim and some of their shoulder pauldrons. Like I think their shoulder armor seems to, some of it's gold. But I thought they looked great in the last season. But one thought I had is maybe they're trying to differentiate them a little bit more on screen because, with all the grays, they all had kind of like gray and red. So maybe this is just an attempt to make them look a little bit more different. None of it offended me. I didn't hate it, and I didn't, think, oh wow, this is amazing. It's pretty subtle for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was.
What I wish we prepared was a comparison between the season 1 armor and the season 2 armor, and so I'm kind of shuffling around trying to do that right now.
No, I got it, Jim. I got you covered. I don't have a direct comparison, but I have a photo of how they all look in
great.
in the new show here.
All right, maybe I should watch our show. And,
maybe. Yeah, but Matt, what did you think about it? Help us vamp a little, man. Put us on the spot.
I personally liked it. I thought it was different. I didn't expect it, but I kind of agree. I liked the more gray and red design a little more. I thought it just looked a little more stealthy, but I would assume it had to change because, the Empire's coming in. You don't want that colorway to go, I guess, with the Empire, who kind of already has that colored situation going on. So I don't know. I thought it was different, but I thought it was cool. I don't think it ruins them at all. I don't think it takes anything away. I think it's unique and different and cool.
Yeah, well, if they did it to stay undercover, we know by the end of episode 2 that was a massive fail because Wilco was able to visually identify 2 of them. So they should have gone for maybe something else, like maybe something a little more Mandalorian, or I don't know.
Well, I mean, they got. I mean, I got a shot. This is, I believe this is Hunter here. All right, so we got Hunter. So he's looking significantly different with this gold coloring, and it is possible that they're doing this as a way to try. It's kind of like what was the movie Johnny Dangerously, when they keep ripping the color off of the cars. They're speeding away.
Oh,
they keep changing the
like
car color.
Yeah,
it's like wallpaper, right?
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, like, is that what they're trying to do? And hide, I guess. They're all very conspicuous. It's like. They have body shapes. A couple of them, you might have a hard time distinguishing between the two, but you got the behemoth wrecker. You got Echo, who's missing, a couple of limbs there. You got Tech with his big Coke bottle glasses. I think they're still pretty conspicuous despite their efforts here.
Well, yeah, it's clearly Imperial gear they're wearing, or clone trooper gear. So that hasn't changed. It seems like a poor disguise. It seems like they might want to look into something different, or maybe ditch the helmets altogether. Because
they would actually probably be harder to spot without the helmets.
Yeah, but Fee pointed out that they all have very different traits than any other clones, so they wouldn't be immediately identified as clone troopers, I don't think. You got Hunter walking around with half of a face tattoo. You got Tech, who's got the glasses, and I mean, he looks vastly different from the others. And Wrecker, of course, looks like a clone on steroids. And Echo looks like a Borg. So, I mean, he doesn't even look like he's from Star Wars. He could get away with walking around on the Starship Enterprise or something, or one of those big board cubes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's a shot of all 4 of them together. I don't have a side-by-side of season 1, but gone are the drabber gray and reds, and they've punched it up a bit more with some golds and some yellows, and I think if it looks like Hunter's got some sort of cape around his neck. I don't recall him having that before. So
man with the cape.
He's going to have some soft goods next time
he's
they put
got
his
something going on. Yeah, he looks vastly different. And also with Wrecker, he doesn't have the Arabesh BB on the forehead of his helmet anymore, which he had in all of season 1. Tech was largely in he had like a red stripe going down the middle. It's all the orange. They just changed the orange. That's not gonna disguise anything. They should have stuck with the black. I'm with the super chat. That's they should have stuck with the old style. Stand out, like, you know.
It's an odd decision to change their look in the second season, when, you know, it's without there being necessarily being either a major time jump or, you know, some sort of plot point that would cause them to do it. It's almost like you could interpret it as like, we were never really wild about the first design, and so, you know.
It's largely the same, though. I mean,
it is. I mean, but the colors make a pretty big difference when you see them, you know, all together there like that.
People thought that Tech's helmet was Ohio State. That he was wearing a Buckeyes helmet. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Wait, the scarlet and gray. Yeah. That's what it looked like. General Apathy says that Wrecker had 99 on his helmet.
Oh,
Clone Force 99.
I don't speak nor read Arabic, so I thought that said BB. It said 99. Well, of course, it said 99.
Clone Force 99.
Yeah.
Clone Force. All right, let's see. You know what? I opened the show by saying that I thought that it was, more kiddie fare. Let's find out what the kids think. We actually have a couple of youngsters on the line. We'll start with our buddy Blake. If you've been listening to the after shows, you know you like Blake's take. Well, Blake's got a take all the way from Missouri on Bad Batch Season 2 premiere. What do you say, Blake?
Shut.
Hey. How you doing, buddy?
That was a good shut.
Really good. I want to say thanks for the shirt.
You're welcome.
It's amazing.
You're welcome. Jimmy Mack said that was never going to happen.
I was shocked. I saw a picture on social media of you wearing that shirt.
Yeah.
Jake or Blake.
Yeah. It came on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, just as I intended.
Look at Santa Swank coming down the chimney.
I love it.
Ready to eat your cookies.
If you have any of those cookies left, please send them my way. Well, what did you think about this, Blake?
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah?
Like,
I don't know. I sensed more enthusiasm for Andor out of you than I am for Bad Batch. Just right out of the gate, I can tell that maybe you prefer the more mature adult fare of Andor as opposed to the kiddie time animation of Bad Batch. Am I right?
Yeah, a bit. Because right now they're not doing a whole lot since they're on the mission.
Mm-hmm.
But at the ending of episode 2, that's whenever I really was really getting into it, because now there's like a giant cliffhanger. Like, who knows who's gonna find the trooper that he killed?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you think that maybe somebody might stumble on Wilco?
Yeah, because I think they're gonna know that Admiral Rampart was the last person to talk to him, so they're gonna be looking around still, and they're gonna find his body dead on the side of that cliff.
All right, Blake, I would love for this to be true, but part of me thinks that you've been watching too much Andor, because what was so great about Andor was that every thread was neatly tied up, like nothing happened for no reason on the screen. And yes, I would love for Wilco's, death and his murder by Rampart to have repercussions in a future episode. I just don't think it's going to happen, man. I would love for it to happen.
Rampart.
This might be an example of how we're spoiled by some of these shows like Andor. We want them.
I think it'll be cleared up pretty quickly. I think Rampart will create some sort of smoke and mirror story about why Wilco is no longer around. He'll come up with some story like he was so despondent over the attack on the base that he took his own life or something, like really, really cold and nasty.
Huh. it would be great if whatever the cover story is sows seeds of doubt in the clones. The chat's been talking about this throughout the night. We speculated about it last season, where you had the conscripted troops kind of overtaking, there being a real movement in the Empire to get rid of the clones altogether, bring in the conscripted troops. Could we be looking at a clone uprising, and could Wilco's death be one of the sparks that lights the flame, that catches the fire, that burns the brush?
All that stuff.
What do you think, Blake? Do you think there could be a clone revolt in season 2?
There might be. There's like a slight chance it would probably happen, because since he's dead, they might think now that that's why they don't need to be there.
Yeah.
Like, they just need the upper troops.
Right. They don't need the clones. All right. So we've got 2 episodes in on Blake. No one sent you the first 14 episodes of Bad Batch, did they?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. Good. Because we need you to have fresh Blake takes that are spoiler free. But it is always great to get the perspective of the youngsters, the younglings. Did you notice, has your enjoyment of Bad Batch, has it been diminished at all, having come out of something, so heavy and plot thick, let's say, as Andor? Are you just enjoying the ride?
I'm just enjoying it. Like, there's always in shows, there's going to be some episodes that ain't that, like these first 2, they are exciting at points, but you gotta have the slow stuff, just like Andor. It was pretty fast paced, them going to the tank, shooting, hopping into the cargo. The only part that was really slow was whenever they're at the one planet Han Solo talks about in Empire.
Ord Mantell.
You guys were just talking about it.
Yeah, Ord Mantell.
Yeah, around that time was like but that lady who was with, I can't remember anybody's names right now.
Sid.
Yeah.
With Sid, the lady who was with Sid.
Yeah.
I feel like she's going to have a big part, because Sid might, just like how you guys were saying, might betray them, give up the information where they're going to be to the Empire, but she's going to help the Bad Batch and tell them, because she seems like she's going to play a big role. She might seem like now.
So it might be a big smokescreen. Like, she comes in, she's all mysterious, she's full of sass, but she may actually be the savior for the Bad Batch at some point.
Yeah.
If Sid decides, that would be interesting. That would be really interesting. Dude, you never disappoint. Glad you got the shirt. Thanks for calling in. I'm sure we'll talk to you next week, and keep watching. Okay.
Oh,
and don't, no spoilers. All right.
Oh yeah. I won't get spoiled. I'm trying to stay off from mostly anything Star Wars right now related, just in case the spoilers of Bad Batch get out.
All right, buddy. Thanks again. Have a great night. Blake. I had a note here. Echo and tech. Okay. Because I think that this is significant, and we should probably underscore it a little bit more, is Jim, this calling. I wrote down that Echo is feeling the calling for a bigger role to play in all of this.
Right.
And so he confronts Hunter about it at first, which then, there's that sort of misunderstanding, I guess, as Omega overhears half of their conversation. But then you hear him arguing with Tech. Tech, who's wounded. They're hanging out in this guy's Romar's place. And by the way, voiced by Hector Elizondo. I thought that voice was familiar, and I waited for the end credits, and then I'm like,
where do we know him from?
Hector Elizondo. Hector Elizondo's been in a lot of things. Probably most famously, he was the the hotel concierge in Pretty Woman. Sort of was helping Julia Roberts' character. Great character actor. Was in Chicago Hope TV series. It's been in a number of things, but you'll recognize him when you see his face. You go, oh, that guy. He's one of those.
Yeah.
So, so why do you think, if you're a writer, why do you think that Echo is the one of them to really feel the calling of a greater mission?
That's a great question, dude, because it was very apparent to me that Echo is the one who is sort of revealing tendencies of rebellion. You know, it's more than just survival. It's more than just trying to figure out what happened to their brothers and that crazy chip in their head.
Right.
This is more than that. Now, you know, this is the new normal, and Echo does not like what he sees. And so that's really laying the groundwork for him to eventually join the organized rebellion in some way, shape, or form. Will he be able to convince the rest of the Bad Batch to do so along with him? That remains to be seen. But I think that's what's being set up here, is that this guy is recognizing beyond their own personal misery and their own, you know, fugitive lifestyles, that the rest of the galaxy is also being oppressed, and they're under the thumb of this evil institution that's stripping people of their rights and things like that. These guys, you know, he recognizes that. And I mean, how many other clones recognize that?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Now, of course, he doesn't have that inhibitor chip causing any problems for him. All of the Bad Batch have the inhibitor chips removed, or they're non-functional, right? Or I can't remember where we left off with all of that.
They've all had them removed. And
Crosshair too.
That was the big reveal.
Yeah.
Was we thought that the inhibitor chip was what was causing him to be such a, you know what? And then we find out, no, I had it removed. I'm just this way.
Yeah, I just wanted to double check on that.
Yeah.
So the inhibitor chip is a non-factor here. So these guys are able to exhibit more individuality, and that's just what Echo is seeing. He doesn't like what he's seeing, and he believes that the Bad Batch have this unique position to where they can do something about it. And so that's the wind of rebellion blowing through his sails right now. And let's see if that leads him to people like Mon Mothma or Luthen Rael or Saw Gerrera or any of the rebels, Bail Organa, for crying out loud. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go back to the phones. We got another youngster on, another youngling. This is Logan. Unless it's Daniel Logan trying to... Hey, I'm a kid. Let me tell you about Bad Batch.
Hi.
Hey, Logan, how are you?
Good. Hi, Jimmy and Jason.
Oh, we're doing good.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hi, Logan.
I saw you at the meetup, the Rebel Force Radio meetup at Spectral Host.
At Galloping Ghost, I met you and your dad, and you gave me this really cool Rebel Force Radio Christmas tree ornament that I'm showing off here.
Oh, man.
It ripped here on the top, so I have to tape that together. But it's supposed to hang on the tree, you know? Rebel Force Radio.
That might be the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
So I saved that. That was hidden in the bag. I didn't see that when you gave me the bag, because I also got from Logan this cool Ahsoka Lego and R2 and some other clone troopers. So it was really nice seeing you guys.
Well, Logan, what do you got to say about Bad Batch? We heard from Blake, who's another member of your generation, and he was digging it. But I also got a sense that maybe he's taken some of those those Andor instincts that he honed, over the last several weeks, and bringing them into, or maybe some of that Andor baggage, and bringing it into.
Is it baggage or is it a standard?
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. But Logan, what do you think?
Just think.
I didn't get when Wrecker and all the others were stunning the clone troopers, and then Wrecker just took the big cannon and just started blowing them all up.
Yeah. The stun rays are back again for season 2. The clone troopers seem to be firing regular blaster bolts.
Yeah. So
there doesn't seem to be anything funny with those. But you're right. Yeah, the stun blasts are back again. And there's that one moment when Wrecker grabs one of the clones. There's like an inference of like he was too rough, or he shouldn't have done it, or whatever. And he's like, he says something like, I couldn't help myself, or what. You know what I'm talking about? It's a very quick line, and it's like he, I don't know, like they were mad at him for potentially killing this clone. It's a little unclear to me at this point whether they're trying to save the lives of their brothers, or if they're doing whatever it takes.
And they haven't established that through any dialogue. Even in season 1, they never said anything like, "Well, here's what we need as an audience, Lucasfilm, if you're listening. Here's what we need. We need these jamokes to sit down and say, we can't kill our fellow clones anymore, so we're only going to hit them with stun blasts. Is everyone on board with that?" And then they'll say, "Oh, do it, gotta." Yeah, Wrecker, we got it. That's what we need. We can't just have it all of a sudden midway through season 1. They start just using exclusively stun bolts, which irritate me on a number of reasons, because it's trying to take the war and make it soft. It's the Disneyfication and toning down and dumbing down Star Wars for the audience. But then I look at it, I'm like, they're running around with this 13, 14-year-old kid. I mean, is it really appropriate for them to be blasting everything in sight? But then when it comes to space flight, they have no problem with opening up lethal fire on other vehicles. They have no problem taking tanks and blowing things up. And Wrecker with that assault cannon that he used on those troopers. Was that when he said, "I couldn't help myself"? Was it at that moment?
That might have been it. That might have been it. Yes.
So I'm left thinking, I'm just thinking, why? What's going on here? It's annoying to me also, like auditory, because I hate the sound of those stun rays. And it's just when it happens once at the beginning of A New Hope, when Leia they take out Leia with that stun blast, it's acceptable. But when it's just hitting you over and over and over again, I find it to be annoying. It sucks the life out of the scene. It's like, you agree with me, Logan, right? I'm not some crazy old guy going on some curmudgeon rant here. I know what I'm talking about, right? Logan?
Yeah, you know.
Okay, good. Thank you. I just want to. I need you, Logan, to help me keep it together. You're a very calming presence for me, and so if I lose my mind, I might have to reach out to you, and you'll talk me down. I appreciate that. Thanks, Logan.
Thanks, Logan, for calling. We may have gotten something wrong. I know that's hard to believe.
No,
we may have gotten the whole inhibitor chip in Crosshair wrong. I thought that there was a reveal that he had already had it, because I thought there was a moment when he's confronted about the truth of the inhibitor chip, and he says that he had his removed. But we're hearing people from the chat saying that is
it's wrong, huh?
Is wrong.
Yeah, I knew I needed to refresh myself on that. I knew I was. So he still has it then, right?
Well, I don't think there's confirmation either way.
You see, with the inhibitor chip, though, I mean, when Order 66 is given, the clone troopers, they have no resistance to that.
Right.
That's the perfection of Palpatine's plan. which I think we're beginning to find out isn't all that perfect, because his rule of fear doctrine is something that is kind of biting him in the ass, because he has these field operatives who are lying about their reports just to cover their own butts. And, we see it happen in Andor to a degree, and then we see it blatantly happen here at the end of Bad Batch, episode 2, when Wilco is told to falsify his reports, and he takes the high road and ends up getting sent down to the low road, and I mean the way down low road. And I just think that's a big flaw in Palpatine's structure of government.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So this is going back and forth in the chat. We are correct that that Crosshair, I knew we weren't that wrong. Crosshair does say that he had it removed, but there's speculation that he could be lying. There's speculation that he could have been misled to think that he had it removed and he didn't. I think we can take this one at face value. I think he had it removed. I think it's the writer saying that he's just a bad seed. That's what I think it is. All right. He's that one guy.
He's born under a bad sign.
Right. He
was born under a bad batch sign.
He doesn't need an inhibitor chip to be a jerk. You know what? I thought there was a great lesson in this episode with Romar. And I think it's a lesson that I could take to heart. All of us Star Wars fans could take to heart. And when he throws that kaleidoscope to Omega, Omega says, "Oh, it's treasure. There's jewels in here." And he says, "No, it's an optical illusion. It's a toy that makes you happy, and that's worth more than jewels." And as I was watching the episode and thinking about what they might have done, what they could have done, what I think they should have done, and would I rather be watching live action Star Wars? That lesson, and they reinforce it at the very end when Romar says, "Remember what I said, Omega. Happiness is worth more than jewels." At the end of the day, I was happy watching these 2 episodes. I really was. I was content. I was happy. Yes, I've aired some grievances and some gripes, but at the end of the day, I had fun. It was a great adventure. I'm looking forward to more. And I thought it was a beautiful lesson that Romar gives to Omega. And Omega needs it. She needs some joy and happiness in her life. It can't all be business. It can't all be heists and missions and all of that.
She's still making discovery too, about what's going on in the universe at large after growing up in those sterile hallways of Camino. And she's still discovering things. And I think she when she discovers certain things, like the ability to score treasure from Dooku's war chest, I think she gets hyper focused on those things, thinking that that's the pinnacle. That's everything. Existence has led her to that moment, so she fails to see the big picture sometimes because her experience has been so limited as an individual. So that's why I think it's going to be fascinating to watch her character grow. And I'm really on board with Omega. Omega. Mm-hmm. I'm Team Omega. Like you, sometimes I want to call Omega Echo. But that's just the scrambled eggs of my mind working overtime. And I think she's a great character and just charming as hell and really enjoyable. And yes, at the end of the day, while I don't think these episodes have any big impact on the Star Wars story we love following, because we love those big moments.
Yes, of course.
That's what we live for crying out loud. But I mean, just as far as just having a nice story, adventure, being told with a level of clarity, I mean, the adventures are executed really well as far as storytelling goes, and you get those great character moments, and we're starting to see the emergence of more personality in characters like Echo and Tech, and maybe even Wrecker. I don't know. I would like to see Wrecker show a little more maturity. I really would. I grow tired of his, one track sort of Hulk smash kind of attitude.
But there's hope,
it's
though.
very immature.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to see him have some moment where he becomes something more of an adult and all that. But, there were a lot of cool things happening in this episode, too. Certain callbacks to Clone Wars. Most notably, the return to Sereno and Dooku's throne room, which was featured, I think, in all 3 episodes of the Night Sisters trilogy from season 3 of Clone Wars. Dooku had he was woken up in his palace by the Night Sisters, and they were in stealth mode, and he dueled with them, and the duel spilled out into that
he was in
throne
his
room.
jammies.
Yeah. The duel spilled out in the throne room, and you could see more of Sereno too. And I think it's the 2nd episode of the Night Sisters trilogy called the episode called Monster, when the Night Sisters present Dooku with Savage Opress. And so you see some of the exterior shots of Sereno before the Empire destroyed the place. And you see more of Dooku's castle, his throne room. He trains with Savage, like it looks like in a courtyard or a rooftop of the palace. And so you see more of the city there. And what I was really wondering, though, and maybe somebody remembers this because I don't think this is a thing, but the Bad Batch found sort of an escape hatch in the throne room. It was a lift, and Wrecker had to jump up and down on it to help them operate it and have it open up so they can make their escape. But I was wondering if because I have no recollection of Dooku using that in those Clone Wars episodes I'm talking about.
Oh, like
I thought that was a callback,
like a quick escape that you might have used. Yeah.
I thought that might be a callback to something, but I can't recall that ever coming into play in the Clone Wars. He guy said Dooku never fixed his broken window. A window does get broken, right? In the Clone Wars, that big window behind him, it looks like kind of like the Klingon symbol behind him. It's green.
Yeah, I have no memory of that. I no man. That is a deep cut, man.
Yeah, I loved that Night Sisters trilogy, and I got to see it in a theater, all 3 episodes, and it was just like, wow, it really made a big impact on me. Like that was for me the moment when the Clone Wars really arrived. Was midway through season 3 and those episodes with the Night Sisters and Savage Opress and all of that.
That was wild, man. It just totally blew open. And I know some of you that, like Mac that read the Marvel comics was more familiar with, some of these offshoots of the Force and magic and stuff like that. But for me, someone who hadn't read that stuff, the Night Sisters and all of that just really blew open all the possibilities that you could have with the Force, different types of Force users and all that. I just threw up on the screen here that here's the call out or the callback I saw, which was the Kenner colored Ithorian sitting in Sid's bar, playing Dejarik. You gotta love the blue shirt that that he's wearing. Those Kenner colors got to represent.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Here's a super chat from Classic Donut. Happy New Year, RFR. Bad Batch Season 2 is a scroller as I scroll in my phone while watching it. Another Star Wars toy commercial. Hurry up, Mando. Season 3. All right. So Classic Donut is like, yeah, I'll start it. I'll start it while I'm scrolling on my on my phone.
Oh my God. That's almost as bad as Swank watching it while he's driving home from Cleveland.
You know where I watched the first episode today?
Oh God, I don't want to know, but go ahead and tell us.
I knew it was going to be a tight timeline. It was still rough getting ready because we had 2 episodes. But
what were you doing? Performing heart surgery on someone or something?
No, I was taking a shower. I had the phone because I have a phone, shelf built into the shower, and yeah, it was great. I was there getting the scrubbing and getting clean. There's an image for you. While I was watching the first episode of Bad Batch season 2.
Yeah. Nude swank.
You're
Watching
welcome.
Star Wars.
You're welcome for that, Matt.
We'll have to reenact that. We'll reenact that at some big convention sometime. We'll get the shower head and have you standing there.
Well, hey, let's check in with. Oh, wait a minute. No, we got one more call. We got one more. We got to take it. They called all the way from Australia. That's a long way from here. So let's talk to Brett from Australia. Hey, Brett, you're on with Rebel Force Radio. You're our final caller. Make it good. That's your line.
Make it good.
G'day, guys. How you doing?
Good, buddy. Thanks for calling in.
Oh, mate, my pleasure. Look, I just want to go back to the conversation you were having about Echo, and how Echo is a little bit different compared to the rest of the batch, Squad 99. You've got to understand, Echo has a lot more humanitarianism in it, because, you know, he's not only been brought up with his brothers and he's gone through and he's seen the conflict, but he's also probably been a lot more involved with like civilians and things of that nature, compared to where, you know, you've got the Bad Batch, you know, Squad 99, and they've just been going after the droid. Mm-hmm. So he has a lot more empathy for what people are suffering.
Yeah. He was a
I think that's why he's trying to bring Hunter into it and go, look, there's a lot more to the galaxy than just your brothers. You know, and the squad. And there are a lot more people out there suffering. And he's seen it a lot more because, you know, just being a clone trooper, they've probably had a lot to do with different indigenous populations throughout the galaxy.
Yeah,
seen the suffering.
His clone experience, you're right to point out, and it's easy to forget because physically he looks like a augmented clone or a clone that is different than the run of the mill. But you're right to remind us that he was a normie. You know, he wasn't a Bad Batcher. And so his experience would be vastly different than them. They were they were very likely saved for big missions, covert missions, in and out. You know, they were special forces. They weren't amongst the people very late. I think there's implications that they were almost kept somewhat secret because they were covert operatives. So they weren't just, you know, out there parading around. So that's a really good point. He would be much closer to the common, or to the plight of the common civilian in the galaxy. Great observation, Brett.
Yeah, look, it's just something I've noticed, and I mean, look, I love Filoni's work, and I think like the animation is so much improved in this season, and it's really sort of coming to life. And I'm looking forward. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Bad Batch more than I'm looking forward to Mando or Ahsoka. I mean, I actually like the animation. I love my Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch, because they do a lot more in the time period than when you find it's like the live acting, like your Obi-Wan Kenobi and Andor and Boba Fett and all that. I find that the animation can bring a lot more to life. And I think it's really good. I think it's a great alternative. And there's so much more that can be developed in that area where we can get a lot more short stories of other parts of the galaxy. It doesn't have to be Jedi. Yeah. You know, it can even be little things of the rebellion or the Empire. But it's a lot easier to produce and create and do it in this animation sort of aspect. But I mean, that's just my thoughts. But,
it's great.
Mate, I've been following this. Well, I've been following this since I was 12 years old, and I went and saw Star Wars for the first time in Australia. So, I mean, I'm 57, and I've been following Star Wars ever since.
You don't sound a day older than 35. It's amazing.
We're original generation Star Wars fans, and we have the scars to prove it.
Well, wait a minute. Do Brett, do you look like Santa or do you look like Captain Rex?
Yeah, probably a lot more like Captain Rex.
Okay.
But unfortunately, yeah, I haven't got my face to armor that fits at the moment. Too much Christmas cheer.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you so much for calling. Best to you, and hope to hear from you again.
I love hearing from original generation fans, especially the ones who are older than me, which I find to be rare. Jason is
sorry. I was getting a late night visit. He's not used to the live shows, and normally on the recorded shows, he can just come down, sneak in, and be unnoticed. But you're able to come down. But if you're going to come down, you got to be able to be put on camera.
Yeah. You have to perform, kid. If you're going to interrupt the show, you got to become part of the show. There he is. Look at Parker. I haven't seen him in a while. All right, go to bed, kid.
All right.
Has he got the feety pajamas on?
No feety pajamas tonight. We got. Oh, but he is. Check this out. Let's show everybody your pajama shirt.
Strong with the Force, Baby Yoda. That's fantastic. That looks really good. Look at the look on his face. Dad, you're embarrassing me.
What?
I know something important.
Okay.
When you come up to check in on me, I need you to look at something important.
Okay, I will do that. All right. When I come up to check in on him, after we wrap up the show, he has something very important to show me.
You go up there, there's like a dead goat on the porch. Like, what's going on here?
Oh, man.
I can't even go down and podcast for a couple of hours without a dead goat ending up on our porch.
I don't know what's going to, we already have a tarantula. We've got 2 cats. We got a dog. It's chaos. Let's check in with Tyler. Tyler, thanks so much for all of the great callers that you lined up for us. Anything that we left unsaid? What did we leave on the table?
Ooh, I don't know about that. But one thing that came to mind was I was listening back to the Bad Batch after shows from last season. And Jason, you brought up a good point early on. You were saying, I think Omega is going to have all of the capabilities of all of these different, Echo, Hunter, Wrecker, whatever. And I think in this beginning episode, we got that. We got like little glimpses of that here and there. And I think it's really cool. And when I'm trying to connect it to the bigger picture, I feel like, people are going to start noticing this child running around with these like grown men assaulting people. Yeah. And like, I think that's going to pique some interest, and people
Child Family Services are going to get called out in the galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. Maybe people will be like, hey, I wonder if that's Django's other kid. I think there's a lot of room to play with in the bigger picture. So,
is it possible that she would be valuable to the Empire? Would they be looking at acquiring her? Because it seemed as though it was only the Kaminoans that knew of her or knew of her her origin. It didn't seem like that was something that was known to the Empire.
Yeah, they kind of just threw all that cloning stuff away, and if you take the sequels as they are, they're going to have to get back to that technology somehow.
Yeah,
so, we really don't even have any definitive reason or explanation for Omega's mere existence. Right. Why is she different? Why is she female? How can you take a clone from Jango Fett and produce Omega? I mean, how does that happen? There has to be something else mixed into that stew. And what's the purpose? What's the reason for it? Is she a plan B? What kind of plan B? We need some definite explanation for her mere existence.
Yeah, I would love to see that explored. I hope they don't drop that. Like Tyler said, it seemed like a lot of that once they got rid of not Lama Su, who was the other one?
Nala Se.
Yeah.
Or Tanwi.
Yeah, the one that was kind of over, sort of mothering Omega. Yeah. They got rid of her and they sort of, dropped a lot of that stuff. They also dropped the idea of her having these powers that combine, sort of a combined ability. So lots that they could mine, I think, for season 2. But what we got really to open up the season was a big heist, a big, mission.
Maddie in the chat says, I maintain she has some force sensitivity. And, you know, Maddie, I got to be honest with you. When I was watching and they were looking down at that war chest in the shipping container on the ledge, I was just like, Omega, she's going to reach out with her hand and start levitating that stuff out of there, isn't she? I was happy it didn't happen, folks. Don't get me wrong. It would have come out of nowhere, but you have to wonder if that could be some sort of there has to be something about this kid that's like really special, really special.
I agree. Classic Donut is back. Says, my apologies for disrespecting the Bad Batch shows. I respect the lifers of the Clone Wars animated series. I'm down for season 2.5 or 3 on the big screen. Hey, man, don't worry about it. This is a place where you can say it's not your cup of tea, and we can have fun and tease each other and razz each other because we're all Star Wars fans. That's the thing. We don't take it personally here. The only thing we take personally is when Lucasfilm and Disney cedes the first 14 episodes of the season to a bunch of shill media outlets. Well,
yeah,
we'll let it go.
That would have ruined the whole after show experience.
You know what? I can guarantee everybody listening to this that if we would have been presented with that, Mac would have called me and he would say,
I would have laid the
I don't think we should do it. I don't think we should watch these. We can't do it. We can't do it.
Keep it legit.
We got to be on the journey with everybody else. And I would have said, you're right. So,
and then he would have watched them while he's driving home anyway. Nude in the shower.
I have never driven nude. That is absolutely never done it. Never done it.
Thank God you draw the line somewhere.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. Tyler, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. As always, we couldn't do these without you. And we'll see you next week. Jimmy Mack, your final thoughts on the first 2 episodes of season 2, The Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch. Spoils of war, ruins of war. What a great start to season 2. I'm so happy to see the Batch is back, bitch. And this is going to be a lot of fun this season. I love the straightforward adventure, the action. It's exciting. It's exciting stuff, which sometimes to me is hard to capture successfully in animation. I prefer live action to animation when it comes to Star Wars. There's no question about that. But I do enjoy a good Star Wars story told via animation. And sometimes when they get it right, they get it right. And I think they get a lot of the action in this episode right. The one real big question I have is Tech's broken femur seemed to cure itself almost. I mean, God bless him. He's so smart. He can think about healing himself, and it happens. But he was gimpy, but it didn't seem to be much of an issue as the episode was unfolding. So other than that, who cares? These guys are fictional characters in a fictional universe doing fictional things that we could never do or even dream of. So let them do whatever they want to do. Let them defy the laws of physics, gravity, and common sense as often as they want to, and I'll be along for the ride, because that's all it is. It's just fun, it's fiction, it's a good time, and it's great to have the Batch here with us, carrying on the tradition of Clone Wars animation. We saw Lucasfilm try to do something different with Star Wars Resistance, and they did something different with Star Wars Rebels too. So, one was a hit, one was a miss. I'm glad to see they're going back to what made Star Wars, put Star Wars animation on the map in the first place, and that was George Lucas's produced Clone Wars series and that style. And to see that style still alive and that rhythm of storytelling still happening with Filoni there, that's a good thing. That's really great. There'll be a day when we're all nostalgic for this stuff, and you know what I mean? For like current Star Wars, there'll be a day when we're nostalgic for this. And so sometimes it's fun to just stop yourself when the moment's happening and sort of savor what's going on. And I think I'm kind of doing that with Bad Batch. I don't feel any pressure on us as a fan base when it comes to this show, which is a relief and a breath of fresh air. And I'm just looking forward to seeing where this can lead and what future Star Wars animated series are going to be like. But I think this is a real good one, and I'm completely invested in this season. What was my sign-off? It was Newt Gunray not in this episode. Newt Gunray's dead. Poor Gullet not in this episode. It's not working for me. What was I saying last year? Puffer Pig? Newt Gunray.
Puffer Pig was a Rebels thing.
Yeah, didn't I have a Bad Batch sign-off last
Anybody
year?
remember what Jimmy Mac's his sign-off
Puffer
was?
Pig not in this episode.
Who was not in this episode?
I can't stop
Crosshair
the show
wasn't in the
I can
episode.
sign off. The show could go on for hours now as we struggle.
We're gonna wait for you in the chat. Someone's got to remember.
Somebody's got to just give me something. Just feed me something. Well,
Rancor.
Mandalorian.
No, that
Rancor.
wasn't it. Rancor not in this episode. All right. For this one, Rancor not in this episode. Not in this episode. All right.
Mushi. Maddie says Mushi.
All right.
When Maddie says Mushi, that's when it's time to go.
We'll go with that. Oh, wait a minute. One more super chat. Let's get it in. Garrett from MKE. Hey, I loved hanging out at the holiday hang. I hope that we switch away from clones being the main enemy soon so we can get real blaster fire. I liked everything except the stun. Love y'all. Love you too, buddy.
We're tired of the blue donuts around here. Give us a blaster bolts.
All right, well, if you want more Rebel Force Radio, there's lots of places you can get it. You can get it on Patreon, of course. So head over to patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio, support the show, and get rewarded with lots of perks like weekly full show video, the exclusive podcast that you can't get anywhere else. You can find all that information over on our website. And also, we're on all the social media channels. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Watch us on YouTube, of course, where you're watching us right now. In addition to these live streams, we've got a whole repository of archives of interviews over the years and previous episodes. So you can check it all there. And your source for everything and all things Rebel Force Radio is, of course, rebelforceradio.com. That'll do it. We'll see you next time. We'll be back next week for more Bad Batch and the return of the weekly RFR. That's all coming your way next week. So until then, for Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mac.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.